But we have never had the U.S. imposing sanctions on Israel. We are tired, we are sick and tired, and we're going to make a bold statement starting from today going forward that sanctions have to be removed. If they're going to remove these sanctions, I personally will lead a struggle and a protest to have this embassy closed until they remove the sanctions.
TV. Today is the 26th of October 2022. Remember, guys, to like, share, comment, and follow. That was Linda MASARIRA. Yes, she is the leader of Labour, Economists, and African Democrats. Yes, party knows your lead. She's the president. She's saying that sanctions need to be removed as of yesterday. If America doesn't remove those sanctions, Shavara embassy, Zamarama sanctions abviswa. And so guys, in sanctions, because yesterday it was the 25th of October. Yes, it was anti-sanctions day, and yes, we saw so many demonstrations happening all over Zimbabwe. People wachipinda ma streets wachita ma sanctions ngabviswa ma sanctions. The government even fund a gala yesterday night in Chitungwiza. And so an angry listener told of ZANU-PF Information Director Tafazo Mgwadi and Labour Economist and African Democrats lead party President Linda MASARIRA, who were blaming sanctions for the country's economic decay during an interview on Stand on Star FM Muriro on Monday show. The two were panelists who include economist Gift Mungano, invited to discuss whether Zimbabwe had capacity to speak with one voice over the matter. The unidentified listener who dropped this call before sharing his name and location, as was asked by host Linda Muriro, asked how those complaining about sanctions could still afford top-of-the-range vehicles despite the restrictions, further arguing they even had money to buy the same cars for their Maranding youths. I have a problem with these people who are saying sanctions are not even affecting us, but corruption is the main problem affecting us. If you are to see vehicles being used by these people, you will be amazed, said the caller. They would not buy those vehicles if they were being affected by sanctions, yet they buy the most expensive vehicles even for their own use. In 2019, the ruling party ZANU-PF set aside $15 million to import off-roaders for its officials in the Central Committee, with more expected to be bought ahead of next year's polls. The party bought 4x4 Isuzu, Ford Ranger, and VW Amarok vehicles for officials who include its 210 parliamentary candidates, district chairpersons, women's and youth leagues chairpersons. Sanctions discussions have been centered on whether they were targeted or not, whether they have affected the people of Zimbabwe, and if they have affected its economic prospects worse than corruption. MASARIRA says sanctioned countries were fertile ground for corruption, blaming the restrictions for the EU. There is unfettered corruption in a country that has illegal sanctions imposed on it, and that is not a secret. It is an ideal breeding ground, said the MASARIRA. We cannot deny that corruption is rampant in Zimbabwe, because it is, but we cannot also undertone the effect and impact of sanctions on Zimbabwe. The problem we have is that some political parties in Zimbabwe have chosen to focus solely on corruption because they know that if people know about effects of sanctions on their livelihoods, they will lose the protest vote that they are positioning themselves for. And so guys, that's the latest here. Inyama sanctions. Yes, how can they afford to buy luxury cars if Zimbabwe is under sanctions? And Linda MASARIRA, she's saying that the reason why in Zimbabwe there is a lot of corruption is because of Zema sanctions. My sanctions are the reason why tine corruption irikuitika, whereby millions of US dollars is being externalized each and every month. La mari yese iri kubuda kunze kwenyika ichigara muno muZimbabwe ichikwanisa kubatsira vanhu. I'll tell you, Zimbabwe ingadai iri to Dubai, tikadai tisina vanhu vakawanda vari kuenda kune dzimwe nyika. People always say that even Ian Smith angari under sanctions, but Zimbabwe dollar ingetori kumusoro kune pound ne US ingetori 1:1. And so someone said kuti Linda anapfungwa kutotaura kwari kuita akwira bhazi neUSA and atori namamwe in a handbag to go back home, and he's talking about closing embassy. Don't use their money, then we will see. Mwari kuti dai chikamborwara choadmitwa mu public hospital chozwa kuti hapana bed, chomboita hassle bed, chozwa kuti hapana doctor, hapana paracetamol, chokumbira toilet chozwa kuti hakuna mvura, chodongorera nepa window choona ma Range Rover 2022 yakapiwa director ndopasha aziva kuti ma sanctions chii anika munhu ari kuti dai watopengera zvako mvura isiri kubuda mumatepi zvitori nani dzema sanctions waita mutete and mwari kuti that embassy is helping Zimbabweans more than it does to American citizens. Zimbabwe should be grateful that they have kept their presence when other missions are leaving. And so guys, ngatitaure in the comment section inyaya yema sanctions and inyaya yekuti people are divided. Munhu ane maonero ake ane mafungiro ake, and I do respect people's views and opinion because I feel like munhu agara achiona ma sanctions zvakasiyana. Vamwe vanoti they are affecting us as ordinary Zimbabweans. Other people are saying kuti aiwa those sanctions are targeted sanctions. And yes, ndakambotaura panapa before nakati nyaya iripo aisi nyaya yekutanzi ma sanctions. Of course aripo zvawo, but nyaya iripo the main topic that we need to discuss about, of which ED muna 2018 vakataura vakati I'm gonna fight corruption. Yes, I'm gonna clean out the house. Mbava dzese tikudzivharira mujeri muna 2018. That was his main point yakataura President Mnangagwa. But it seems like as years goes on and on, muna 2019 2020 nyaya yecorruption yakata ichitonyora kudzamara pari zvino tamuna 2022. The men no longer talk about corruption, which means that maybe corruption yakapera, or maybe vaiba vakasungwa or whatsoever, but tichirungoona nyaya dzecorruption dzichingotaurika mumastreets. Saka woshauza kuti zvinenge zvichifamba sei. So Zimbabweans are still divided when it comes to nyaya dzema sanctions. We still have different views, different opinion. Saka kuti shoko rinyatsobuda rinyatsofamba, hunge takabatana, hunge tichitaura the same situation, hunge tichitaura the same word, which is sanctions, but people are divided. I've heard so many people saying kuti opposition political parties ndo vakaenda vakanokumbira ma sanctions ku America, vakauya nema sanctions kuti wapfidzise Zimbabwe kuti ivo vakwanise kuvhoterwa kuti vakwanise kutonga. I don't know how true it is, but tine vanhu vanotobelieve kuti sure zvakatoitika, vakaenda ku America vakanokumbira ma sanctions. And so my politicians akawanda, they always use my sanctions to manipulate the people, because I saw some videos yesterday, people discussing how they feel about sanctions, people discussing how much they know about sanctions. You could easily tell that some of the views ane vamwe vanhu vanenge vakatovudzwa nevamwe vanhu zvisiri vanenge vakamanipulatwa. And yes, some people would say kuti kushaya kwatiri kuita mvura, kushaya kwatiri kuita mabhazi kuti tikwanise kuenda kumabasa, kushaya kwatiri kuita mari is because of my sanctions. So guys, ngatitaure in the comment section. This is the audio thoughts with Prince on Prince Miller Entertainment TV. Linda Masarira she is saying that she's gonna be on the leading front kuvarisa the US embassy in Westgate in Harare. Without embassy varwe Zamara ma sanctions abviswa, then we can start from there. As for now, my Americans, they need to pack their bags and leave Zimbabwe. As of yesterday, they need to go. Embassy gaibva vharo. And sako pakaipa ndopfungwa dzake ndomaonero ake imumuzona sei. Ngatitaure in the comment section. This is the audio thoughts with Prince on Prince Miller Entertainment TV. Thank you very much for listening and watching. We're gonna keep on discussing more about nyaya dzema sanctions. Inyaya iri very interesting because munhu ane maonero ake ane mafungiro ake. Pakaipa. Bless up.